Breathe, Mets fans. We can all finally breathe after what has been a whirlwind the past 24 hours plus. Watching this Mets team, watching this Mets offense. However, one thing that has coincided the past 2 days is some elite pitching, and that held true today to secure the Mets their victory here in Game 2. How's it going, everybody? Thank you all so much for chiming in for the latest post-game show in here on WardyNYM. I got a lot to say about this game, as lackluster as it was from an offensive standpoint. Pitching-wise, Jacob deGrom continues to be the best and most dominant pitcher in baseball. He is an anomaly. He gets 10 strikeouts in the Mets dub today. The bullpen comes in unbelievably clutch. Seth Lugo, Trevor May, Edwin Diaz, who had a little bit of a shaky night. You know, we were all at the edge of our seats. I know I was. And I was in attendance for yesterday's game when Mad Max shoved. Everyone got the job done with the Mets and their defense and their poor base running and offense, which led to their loss in extras. So I'm happy to be back home talking about a Mets victory, man. But we got a lot to get into. This, again, I'm breaking a sweat as much as humanly possible right now. I got to give a lot of credit. As frustrating as this Mets offense has been, the Phillies starting staff deserves an endless amount of credit through these first 2 games. And oh yeah, Zach Wheeler's pitching tomorrow in the rubber match. So nothing's going to be easy in this matchup. We have quickly learned, Mets fans, but guys, more than anything, the Mets secured the W in the end. They have now won a boatload. I mean, it feels like they've won, what, 18 of their past 21 games or something along those lines. The Mets have been rolling no less. So, guys, let's get those W's in the live show. That's what I want to see. Spam those W's in the chat, folks. Greatly appreciate. Like I said, very hyped, very happy about this Mets win. It was a pitcher's duel, just like yesterday, Ranger Suarez versus Mad Max Scherzer. Today, Jacob deGrom versus an Aaron Nola, who has really been shoving in the second, even prior to the second half of the season. Upwards, you know, he had a little bit of a slow start this year, but Aaron Nola found his game. And man, oh man, like I said, this is one where we can have a sigh of relief. We can breathe. We can enjoy this Mets win now and get ready, because buckle up again. Early tomorrow, we got the rubber match of the day game, Seabass versus Wheeler, man. The only guy offensively to show up for the Mets today was 2, Charlie Marte, Pete Alonso. We saw there the Mets got their first runs of the day in the first inning. And unlike yesterday, where, you know, I was feeling kind of decent when Marcana got the RBI sac fly, you know, when the Mets score within the first couple innings of the game, you like the chances of them winning ball games. And they were neck and neck in what was a really frustrating loss yesterday, like I said, in which I was in attendance at. But today, to see them come out, and even though they got shut down left and right by Aaron Nola, and I have a lot more I need to say about Aaron Nola and his game in particular, the Mets, thankfully, Pete Alonso with an RBI single drives in Starling Marte for the first round of the game, and the Mets will never look back. Again, this was a game where it was the highest attended crowd at Citi Field all this year. It was top 10 of highest attendance that's been Citi Field in their existence over the past decade plus, since Citi Field debuted, and I Bleav it was 2008 or 2009, one of the two, right? Potato. But man, oh man, the fans were electric. Everyone was electric. It was electric when I was in attendance yesterday. It stayed true again today, guys. But more than anything, I just want to thank everyone so much for first chiming in the live show. I greatly appreciate you all. Like I said, we got plenty to deep dive on what was a whirlwind of a ball game, folks. So make sure to smash that like and subscribe. And as always, help us get to 100 likes for the first short-term goal, and help us get to, of course, upwards of 18K subs for the next short-term goal on the channel, folks. We're trying to get to 200 to 300 plus likes by the end of the live show. Won't be a ridiculously long show today, guys. I don't know how long we're going to go on for. We'll go on for upwards of an hour, but I can definitely be shorter than that, just because, like I said, we got a lot to discuss, but not nearly enough when you look at the stat sheet, guys. If in case you guys don't know, if you first chime in the show, one thing that I always do when I do stuff like this, when I'm prepping for a show, is I do all my notes on my phone. You know, inning by inning, I break down anything and everything offensively that happened in the game, key highlights, pitching as well. And as you can see, I do not have much highlights in my phone right now, my notes, which tells you just how anemic the offense was for both clubs here, Phillies and Mets alike. And look, I fully expected the Phillies to get shut down offensively. They got shut down by Max yesterday, going 7 strong, only giving up 1 earned run, and had himself a bunch of punchies. And then today, Jacob deGrom just continues to prove and continues to solidify himself as the best pitcher of quite literally this, not even decade, you could argue this generation. That is how good Jacob deGrom is, folks. He goes 6 because, of course, he was on a pitch count still. But when he goes 6 and only give up 2 hits, 10 strikeouts, 76 pitches. You strike out the side in the second inning. You're making hitters look absolutely stupid. Jacob deGrom is basically Edwin Diaz, right? But every single inning, think of peak Edwin, right? With that 94, low to mid 90 slider with the heater easily touching 100, 101, even 102. I just love that the Mets have this tandem between the best closer in baseball and the best starter. And when you see Jake, you get Edwin Diaz basically every single inning, but even better, even more composed. And that's exactly what Jake was today, making his first strikeout of the day was 101 paint on the inside corner. I Bleav it was Bryson Stott. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, here in the live show. Trumpets gets it done too as we advance forward later in the game with Edwin Diaz. Again, a shaky save. Let's be honest here. Diaz, he had himself got a guy on base because of a walk. He stole a bag. And then, then you saw there. Did he steal a bag? I could have been wrong there. I thought there was a stolen base. Almost certain, or at least the runner advanced because of an out. And then there was another walk. And thankfully, again, that would do it for that inning. Edwin Diaz would get himself the final strikeout on Castellanos, right, to end the game, guys. And that was absolutely massive. Edwin Diaz, guys, who was simply unhittable yesterday when I saw him in person. Cue the trumpets. You cue them again tonight, folks. And he gets himself two walks, but that final strikeout. And now he has a 1.33 ERA on the year. To Jacob deGrom, the man who started the game before Edwin eventually finished the game, a 1.62 ERA. Just absolutely stupid stuff is what these pitchers for the Mets have been doing, from the starters to the relievers. And talking about relievers, folks, let's give credit where credit has to be due. Seth Lugo comes in for a scoreless seventh against these Philadelphia Phillies, everybody. One inning, he only gives up one hit and a strikeout. Trevor May, who gets in my number 3 star of the game, folks. Trevor May had a perfect 8th inning. A guy who hasn't looked flawless in his return from injury yet. Has been bad, but definitely not great. Still getting adjusted, acclimated to this bullpen back from injury, in which last time Trevor May pitched, if I'm not mistaken, was against the Philadelphia Phillies. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that when his ailment started, it was against the Phillies. Again, I could be wrong because I'm wrong a million times out of the day. That's normal. But May comes in today with a perfect 8th inning, 2 strikeouts in that 8th, and then Edwin Diaz, sugar, cue the trumpets. You know that the game is won by that point, folks. Just overall, a really, really strong game for the New York Mets in this one to secure the victory. And offensively, let's talk about it. Jacob deGrom casually sat down at one point in this game. 16 straight batters for the Philadelphia Phillies. You thought that was impressive? As amazing and as unhittable as Jacob deGrom was, his opponent today, the opposing starter, that being an Aaron Nola, was just as good. Other than giving up that 1 earned run, that would be the difference. Aaron Nola went 8 strong today, only giving up 1 earned run, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts. He retired 17 straight batters today in this game. 17 straight Mets hitters. A Mets lineup that there's no denying that they are a strong offensive club. Yes, Phillies have had their bright spots this year, but you look at the Phillies offensive lineup entering tonight. You look at the Mets. You love the Mets' chances between the two. There's no denying, but the Mets absolutely look silly. They got carved up. They looked stupid against Ranger Suarez yesterday. They could barely hit out of the infield as is. And today, the same exact thing transpired. Thank goodness, thank God for Pete Alonso, his 97th RBI, his NL leading 97th RBI, as a matter of fact. They're in the first inning, because if that doesn't happen, we probably go to extras again. And at that point, it's anyone's ball game, just how it was anyone's ball game last night. And the Phillies got the proper base running. The Mets did not have proper base running. I'm still pissed off about Joey Cora sending Starling Marte home yesterday. That's shallow. But again, that's besides the point. That was a loss. This was a W. And Jacob deGrom cements himself once more as the best of the best, folks. And tomorrow's going to be no easy task against Wheeler. And of course, that being with having Seabass on the bump. Seabass and Wheeler have both done really, really well against their rivals. Of course, Wheeler, the former Met, now facing the Mets, has done really well against them this year in a couple starts. Seabass, same thing, against the Phillies, has done really well in a couple starts, both with a sub-2 ERA against these respective teams. So it's going to potentially be another pitching duel for the day game, the rubber match tomorrow, guys. But man, oh man, I got a lot more to say on Jacob deGrom and his arsenal. But I really do want to read off to, my upwards of 500 live viewers here. And again, thank you guys so much for chiming in. I greatly appreciate it. Continue smashing that like and subscribe button, guys, if you're enjoying the post-game show just as much as I'm enjoying talking to you all about it as we are getting this underway. There's a lot of nuts statistics regarding Jacob deGrom that I just got to spew out there. I got to tell you guys right now. So let's dive into it, okay? Jacob deGrom has set a major league record by going 22 straight home starts without allowing without allowing more than 2 earned runs in each. That's absolutely disgusting. But again, when you think of Jacob deGrom's, you think of records being broken. These things go directly in hand. That's the story with Jake. That's why he's a stud. That's why he's been able to do everything that he has at this point. Jacob deGrom only gives up 1 or 2 earned runs almost every single start. And to break down further, and I got these stats from good buddy Michael Mayer, who does a phenomenal job for Metsmerized blog, tweet out during the game a breakdown of Jacob deGrom's 201 career starts. 147 of those 201, he did not allow more than 2 earned runs. And 107 of those starts, he did not allow more than 1 earned run. You're talking over a half the starts Jacob deGrom has had in his career. He hasn't even mustered to give up more than 1 earned run in each of those starts. Absolutely disgusting. Filthy. I mean, these are video game numbers. That is the closest thing that you could say is what this is right now. When Jacob deGrom comes out every single 4th or 5th day and literally shuts down the door, you're guaranteed 10Ks at minimum, right? I said in my podcast with Anthony Recker, former Met, now MLB and Apple TV Plus analyst, and Joe Sorallo, and our pod that came out yesterday. Check it out if you haven't already, folks. It still holds true leading up to this series finale with Seabass Wheeler. But I said, jokingly, are we going to get 15 Ks from deGrom against the Phillies, or are we going to be on the lower end of 10? And of course, I was showing some bias there. But here's the thing. You always know that Jake, even with a pitch count as a lock, to get at minimum 10 strikeouts. This guy's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, every single time we watch him on the bump or jaw drop, you feel like there's no way, there's no chance in absolute hell that Jacob deGrom can get better than what he is right now. However, I would rightfully argue that this is the best Jacob deGrom us fans have ever seen. Us fans have ever been bestowed, our eyes have been bestowed upon. That's how nasty. Jacob deGrom is exactly what he was from the beginning of last season prior to his injury. But now the big test for him is, okay, he has the stuff. He has the velo. He has the slider. He has the changeup when he wants to throw. He has the curveball, but he only throws them like once or twice a game. He barely even needs to use them because of how nasty his stuff is. Again, it's Edwin Diaz at his best, but pitching every single inning. That's Jacob deGrom. It's just unhittable. It's unfathomable. That is why, again, when you look at Jake, you just don't understand. You can't comprehend to wrap around your mind that this guy is not just on the New York Mets, but 2, is easily the best pitcher in baseball. There's no denying that. The stats will tell you, too. This guy's just on another level. Who is doing what Jacob deGrom is doing every single time he's on the bump? Just imagine how crazy it's going to be once Jake gets more length in his starts, can give you 7 to 8. He could have easily gave the Mets 8 today without a problem. But again, he was out after 76 pitches in 6 innings. Just think about what Jacob deGrom can do come down the stretch in playoff time. We've seen it before back in 2015. And that was before Jake even became remotely close to the Jake that he is today. And he was still nasty before he had the velo and still had the long hair. Jacob effing deGrom, man. I feel like I need to eat popcorn every single time I watch his starts. It's like watching a movie. It doesn't make sense. It's absolutely stupid. I'm always blown away every single time I watch this man on the bump, folks. And to expand a little bit further, guys, some more Jacob deGrom accolades, which is just insane to comprehend. Jacob deGrom, and this is according to Greg Harvey here on Twitter. He does a great job throwing out a bunch of different baseball and Mets-centric tweets, depending on what is statistics, stuff like that. Jacob deGrom tonight became just the 2nd pitcher since 1901. Yeah, over 100 years, right? Jacob deGrom is the 2nd pitcher in baseball in over a 100-year span to have 25-plus strikeouts, allow 6 hits or fewer, and allow 1 walk or less in their first 3 starts of a season. Coincidentally enough, though, the last pitcher to do this, other than Jacob deGrom over the past 100-plus years, was actually Corbin Burns when he started his 2021 campaign. Just unhittable. He wasn't walking guys at all through his first couple months of the season, too. But yeah, Corbin Burns, Jacob deGrom, the 2 guys since 1901 to throw up that statistic. Just mind-boggling, truly mind-boggling. And there isn't a day that I don't wake up blessed that I have Jacob deGrom on my side, that us Mets fans have Jacob deGrom on our side as the Mets ace. And oh yeah, you got Max Scherzer, you got Chris Bassett, you got Cookie Carrasco, you got Taijuan Walker, you got David Pearson, you got Tyler McGill. The depth is there, baby. They have it in bunches. But before I start to get your comments, questions, and concerns here, the live show to my upwards of 500 viewers, I want to once more thank you all so much for chiming in. Continue smashing that like and subscribe on. Always appreciate, folks. But before I get to your comments, I really want to now deep dive, guys. Let's talk about Jacob deGrom's arsenal. In case you're wondering how Jake was just so nasty today. And again, if you watch the game, you pretty much understand it's 2 main pitches, and that's it. But let's talk about Jake. You got the 4-seam fastball, 53% of deGrom's arsenal tonight. He tops out at 102. The minimum was 97, and the average was 99 on the fastball because obviously this is what happens when you are someone of his nature. The slider at 40% of the arsenal for Jacob deGrom tonight. Topping out at 94, minimum 90, and the average was 93. Curveball, only 4% of his arsenal, barely threw the curveball tonight. Same thing with the changeup. Curveball, 4% of his arsenal, topped out at 84, minimum was 82, average was 83, and the changeup, only 3% of his arsenal, topping out at 92, minimum was 92, and the average was 92. So nasty, nasty, nasty is what you're seeing. The spin rate tied to, let's actually, speaking of spin rate, I'm going to double check quick. Seth Lugo with his curveball today. Ooh. Seth Lugo's curveball average spin rate today was 3,220 RPMs, and his year average is still 3,259. Just nasty. But Jake, he gets so much. I mean, his velo, his slider, man. It's like just exactly what we're seeing right now from Diaz. It's so difficult to hit a 90+ mile per hour fastball as is, let alone one that's 95 plus. That is, by all means, a lot of the best average fastballs in baseball. Imagine hitting a pitch at that same speed that just out of nowhere cuts left on you. If you are, say, a righty hitter, it cuts down away, literally in the blink of an eye, like you don't even see it. It's that quick. Or, of course, if you're a lefty batter, down and in, you think you're going to barrel this bad boy, and it's literally at your feet. It's insane. Just disgusting. Amazing pitching duels. Amazing bullpen by the Mets. Piss poor offense. And this was still, thankfully, Jeff McNeil returning back in the Mets lineup. We did not have Jeff yesterday after he just had such a boneheaded play. I was right. I was in section 111 in yesterday's game, guys. And I was not far at all from, I was on the first base side. So I had a clear vision of McNeil running down first. I had no effing clue what McNeil was doing. He just literally just collapsed in front of Hoskins. A piss poor attempt of trying to dive around him. Then he's out of the game because, he needs stitches because he gets stepped on by the cleat of Hoskins. Needs a couple stitches. Thankfully, he returned in the game today. Eduardo Escobar, who looked absolutely brutal defensively in the first inning yesterday, was pulled from yesterday's game. My initial reaction was, is Eddie out of the game this soon because of how bad his defense was? Wouldn't be very Buck Showalter-esque because we haven't seen stuff like that happen much this year. And ultimately, it was because he had tightness in his side. Eddie, of course, did not play today for the Mets, but he's also been platooning with Yorme. So it's not like the Mets need to be relying on this guy every day. The way that they really are relying on Jeff McNeil as one of the better hitters in all baseball, especially in the NL, for being a contact machine. And McHits, again, didn't do anything special today, nor did this entire Mets offense. But thank goodness gracious that they were able to get some hits on the likes of Aaron Nola when they had opportunities. I mean, if they did not do that, the Mets potentially do not win this ball game once more. So it was massive for them to get that early lead here, folks. And I do see a donation. Let me address that here in the live show, then we'll go forward. Dave with the $5 donation. Thank you so much for that, Dave. Dave says, great pitching duel, but Mets bats need to come around, especially with Braves coming up. Oh, I agree, Dave. But again, I honestly think that this is not something where this is because of the fact that the Mets just out of nowhere don't have good offense now. I think that this is a testament to how improved and how strong the Phillies starters were heading into this series. Because, guys, if you look through the numbers on Fangraphs, The Phillies have a better rotation this year than the Mets. The Phillies pitching is what has carried them all year long, believe it or not. Yes, they've had their big boppers in Schwarber hitting 30-plus bombs, right? Yes, you have Bryce Harper up until his injury was being an absolute stud, playing at an NL MVP caliber pace once more. Yes, you have the Alec Boehms of the world stepping up, and even, you get your hot streaks from the Segueras, among others. But it's been their pitching, guys. It has been that starting rotation. Aaron Nola is one of the better NL starters in all baseball. Let's not forget, he's not far removed from being a legit Cy Young candidate, right? And I'm pretty sure the only reason why he didn't win the Cy Young that year was because Jacob deGrom won. And I want to say it was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. I feel like it was the 2018 year or 2019, in which Nola was just absolutely nasty when he first broke on the scene for the Phillies. And, he had a little up and down season since then, hasn't had good defense behind him. But Aaron Nola is an absolute beaut. He proved a lot to me tonight. As someone that, again, is not watching Phillies starts often, because I'm watching my Mets 1 and 2. Why do I want to watch the Phillies other than scoreboard watch? And why you gotta do that when the Mets have been 10 up on the Phillies like all year long? But I know that Nola has done well for quite a bit this year, and man, oh man, did he do well tonight, as did Ranger Suarez yesterday. So this is just something for us Mets fans to keep in mind. Pitching. At the end of the day, pitching will still win you ball games. As amazing as Aaron Nola was, Jacob deGrom in the Mets bullpen was just a little bit better. And because they were just a little bit better, that one run differential is normally something where Jacob deGrom is the guy that gives up that one earned run over maybe 7 or 8 innings and can't get the win because the Mets don't have offense. Thankfully, this was reverse roles for a change, and the Philly fans can enjoy the pain that is when you have quality starts, quality bullpen, but not offense. Because the Mets were really, really close. Guys, the Mets were this close to making that happen again yesterday. The Mets should have won the series, but they just, again, their defense was anemic yesterday. The Mets had by far the worst defensive game of the year last year between Escobar and McNeil being out of the game shortly in the game. Tyler Naquin looking rough to start out on left. Marquin at third wasn't a big issue, but again, the Mets just didn't look pretty at all defensively. And the Phillies had like their best defensive game all year last year. So a lot of things definitely weren't in the Mets' favor to win yesterday, besides stellar pitching as always by Max and the bullpen doing a really strong job per usual. But it was refreshing. It was a nice take to have a breath of fresh air tonight, folks, to see the Mets come out and not finally, but get a quality win. Not a pretty win by any stretch, but ride on Jacob deGrom and let Jacob deGrom take you to the promised land. Getting at minimum 1 earned run for Jake, as annoying as that is. Again, this was a pitcher's duel just like yesterday, and they were able to battle it out. And now the Mets have evened this series and are now 1 win away in the final game of this series from a series W, which again will be anything but an easy task against Zach Wheeler, who's been looking phenomenal, and Chris Bassett, who's really shoved over his past 8 or so starts. Bassett at home especially has great numbers. It's going to be another pitcher's duel tomorrow more than likely. Let's just hope that the Mets can try to get on Zach Wheeler up and early and maybe get his pitch count working. Because if you can really grind out those at-bats, get to the Phillies bullpen, you like the chances of the Mets getting some more offense than what we have seen through the first 2 games of the season, guys. But guys, with that being said, I want to get your comments, your donations, all that fun stuff if we got any more here in the live show. And once more, we're not going to be live here in the show, guys. I'm probably going to wrap up the show, I'd imagine, in, the next, I would say, 20 minutes. I would say that's definitely realistic. We'll wrap up the show just because, again, this was not by any means an offensive clinic. And as much as I love describing pitchers' duels, there's only so much that I can repeat about a pitcher's duel. You know what I mean? Like we witnessed greatness from both sides, but Jacob deGrom is still the best at the end. And he was the reason that the Mets come out with this victory. And of course, that huge save by Edwin. But everyone in the live show, guys, I want to know your thoughts on this game. So let me hear it in the live chat. What is your biggest takeaway from tonight's victory, guys? Is it just Jacob deGrom being Jacob deGrom? Is it the Mets offense? Are you concerned about the Mets offense at all? Or do you believe that it really is in hand with facing stellar pitching the same way that so many opposing teams have been shut down facing Mets stellar pitching? Or whatever your thoughts are. Make sure to let me know in the live show right now, guys. And for people on replay, guys, let me know in the comments below. What was your biggest takeaway from tonight's victory? And what are you looking for hopefully tomorrow? And what will hopefully again be a series victory in that day game, the rubber match against the Phils? People in the live show, let's get those comments now. But for people on replay, this is where we're cutting things off.